Hey everybody, welcome to episode 40. Today's episode I'm going to kind of cover a few things. Said I'm not really going in detail on one thing right now. So I'm kind of covering a bunch of little things. It's the end of the week, so I wanted to kind of finish it off with something fun. First thing off is, as you can see, I've got the hi-fi unit finally put together. Turntable, receiver, got my records down below. You'll see you got Pyromania up there. I haven't played that one yet. It's a used one I bought. I just want to check it for skips and whatnot and clean it. So I'll probably be playing that one next. I won't play them on the video, obviously, because I don't want to get, hit for music copyright. So, if you know the album, you've probably heard every single song. So go listen to it on YouTube or whatever, Spotify, whatever you use. I don't know if you can see them down there. I've got the, I believe you pronounce them Klipsch, I guess, speakers. Oh, it's Klimpsch, but there's no M in it, so I think it's Klipsch speakers down there. Those are just bookshelf reference speakers. Those are the R14s. Again, I don't need anything big in this room. And then I believe that's the left one, and the right channel is over on the same nightstand on the other side of my bed. So when I lay in my bed, I can hear it, and then when I'm sitting here on the desk, I can hear it. I was working today. I was just listening to one of the local rock radio stations. Yeah, I finally got that all put together in that cool-looking little, stand there. It's supposed to hold 150 records, so I'll probably blow through that pretty quick. Yeah, pretty neat how I got that going finally. I'll get into this whole, as I go, I'll get into more talking about, the components and everything. It's a Yamaha 202. It's a Audio-Technica LP60X, I believe, or 60B, I can't remember. The black one. Then there's a red one and a silver one. They're all like beginning level equipment. That nothing's fancy over there. Even the speakers. I mean, the speakers are really good speakers. They're rated probably in the top 5, but they're nothing spectacular. They're pretty small. Again, I don't have. I set my receiver on 50, and that's as loud as I really can go. For the most part, I can probably put up to 65 if I want to jam it out once in a while. But again, I believe that my neighbor's bedroom is right on the other side of that wall. I know it's a firewall, and it probably drowns out much, but I know when she's got her radio on, like she has a party or something, listens to a lot of hip-hop and stuff, that bass kind of reverberates against the wall a little bit. Not terrible, but I don't want to, get into a stereo war, but yeah, so I don't need big speakers. If anything, I use these guys here. Real quick, just to show you. These are the Audio-Technica 700s, open back headphones. So I've been using these primarily to listen to records and stuff, because I can crank it on those. I mean, I know I'm going deaf at my age, but I can crank it a little bit there and listen to them. And I like to hear the responsiveness and the detail and everything of my records real close. As opposed to the reference monitors are just so I can kind of listen to them, casually, or listen to the radio. I've been getting back into listening to local rock radio stations. I miss that. I remember, especially during the work day when you're sitting here working, and they're talking about, it's the work day, blah, 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 blah. I really kind of miss that. Because, I'm so used to streaming everything and whatnot. So, yeah, I got the radio going. It's kind of neat during the day. But, so I'm going to talk a little bit about records today. I'm not going to get crazy into, the record stuff right away, but I'm going to start it off a little bit. First thing I probably want to get under the way is, no matter what I show you, my favorite band of all time is probably Rush. They mean the most to me. My top 5 bands of all time are probably Rush, Yes. I'm very into progressive rock. Rush, Yes, Iron Maiden, Blue Oyster Cult, and probably my 5th one is a toss-up between Journey and maybe Cheap Trick, something around there. Primarily 80s stuff, but of course some 70s stuff there. Nothing really past 89. Same thing with my comic books. Nothing really past 89, 90. I mean, you know, I'll probably pick up Nirvana's Nevermind or, you know, or Pearl Jam's 10 just to have them for the collection because, I mean, that's my senior year in high school when those albums came out. So, you know, even though I wasn't really into them, I'd like to have them just for, like, nostalgic sake. Plus, they're good records, too. I mean, you know, I always say that Nirvana, music died in 91, the year I graduated high school, and everybody says that the year they graduate high school, but I say that the music died with Nirvana, Nevermind, at least modern, or not modern, but just at least rock and to some degree heavy metal. I know there's new metal today. I'll express my views on that later. I'm not a big fan of it. But, so I got some records came today that I ordered, and of course I want to show them off. So, of course, I've been waiting to get this on LP for a very, very, very long time. Trying not to, still got cellophane on it, so I'm trying to, you know, trying not to let the, I'm just getting reflections galore on everything from the screen, from the window. But, yeah, I wore my jean jacket vest just because I want to be cool today, so, you know, living it up. But I do want to get the back patch to this, to throw on the back of this black jean jacket. So I'll eventually pick up the back patch to that, to this specific album. It's Peace of Mind by Iron Maiden. If you're into Iron Maiden, or if you know your metal from the 80s, you probably know this album pretty well. This, as far as Iron Maiden, this is probably my first album that I was into and got, because this was the one that came out right when I kind of learned of them. And this would have been, I think it was 83 or 82. No, it was 83, so I thought. See, your Return of the Jedi. It was pretty much that. I would say this, though, more into the fall than the summer. Like I said, I was pretty high on Jedi and whatnot in 83 during the summer. But as school kind of, you know, and I really got into music first semester of 5th grade, Mrs. Warlock's class. You know, this was one of the first albums that I got on cassette. I never had this on LP. I've always wanted this on LP. I never had it on LP. I always had it on cassette. I had it on CD, the remastered one, like in the late 90s. But I always wanted this on LP, and now I got it. It's the reissue, of course. It's not the original. I mean, I could get the original, but I figured, you know, I can get the original for like 20 bucks on Discogs, you know, with shipping, even for a factory sealed one, you know, but this one was $25 and free shipping on Amazon, so I figured I'd just get the new one. I don't care about originals. I mean, I do and I don't. I mean, I prefer certain the reissues just bogged down with dumb stuff, you know. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of colored discs or picture discs. I don't think this one. I think this one's pretty faithful to the original. I see it's a gatefold in there too. I can't wait to open it up. I guess I'll do an unboxing, maybe, if I can not destroy the sheath with my X-Acto knife while I'm trying to keep it on camera. But I'm just kind of curious to see the inside. Yeah, this is probably one of my favorite albums of all time. It is my favorite. I'm not saying it's the best. This might not sound weird. It's not the best Iron Maiden album, but it's my favorite Iron Maiden album. Just like with Star Wars, you know, Jedi isn't the best one. Most people prefer Empire, but to me, Jedi is my favorite. And same thing with this one, you know. This is my favorite. You know, I loved it. And one of the reasons why is because that, you know, we got cable that summer, cable TV, and I got MTV for the first time in '83, and I was watching MTV, and so this is how I learned about Iron Maiden. First of all, it was the music video for Flight of the Icarus that they had. That was the first thing. They also had a live, you know, I don't know, actually I don't know if it was a live concert. I don't think it could have been. I think the live concert was the Live After Death concert. I think that video came out later. I just remember seeing a video that they had for live. I can't remember. I think it was, I'm trying to think what it was. You know, I think it was probably Can I Play With Madness was the video. So that was even after Power Slave. So, but this is, you know, this is how I started with this album. And when I saw this, now the other thing I saw was, if anybody remembers a store in the malls called Things. We had one at the Winchester Mall in Rochester, and we had one at the Lakeside Mall in Sterling Heights, or Sterile Whites, as they call it. But anyways, yeah, it's essentially Spencer's. I mean, I think Spencer's may or may not have existed back then. Maybe that existed in other states, maybe more on the West Coast. But back in the 80s, in my area, it was Things. And as I said, essentially sold the same thing: concert T-shirts, you know, spiked jewelry, spiked, you know, bracelets and fangled-ized jewelry. It sold back patches. It sold, you know, jackets, silk jackets. I really wanted the silk jacket to Pyromania that year. I never got it, but I really wanted. They had these silk jacket series, and I mean, I wanted the silk jacket to this one too, but I really wanted that Pyromania silk jacket. But yeah, so they had silk jackets. They had, what else did they have there? I mean, they had all their weird stuff, you know, like fundies and all their other adult stuff. Fundies, of course, was underwear built for two. Fundies and all that other stuff, and a lot of things that, you know, at 11 years old or 10 years old, I'm looking at going, ooh, you know, maybe I shouldn't have been looking at that stuff. But it was weird. It seemed like the employees didn't care if, you know, 10-year-olds and 8-year-olds, and they're perusing the fundies and edible underwear. It was the 80s, so I guess whatever. But they had keychains, they had bracelets, I mean, they had all kinds of stickers. Pretty much anything that was cool at the time was at Things, and that was kind of, you know, Things was like the step up. So now I'm getting away from, I'm not really into comic books yet, so I'm not into comic shops, but I'm kind of you know, graduating from the toy store. You know, and you're getting to that point where it's like, oh, I don't want anybody to know I play with toys. You know, I want to be cool. You know, so, you know, you started wearing jean jackets and, you know, high tops, and, you know, you started, you know, parting your hair in the middle and feathering it back, and, you know, so, you know, this is, you know, you wanted to go to Things. You wanted to go to the cool places. You wanted to go to the record stores and buy records and be seen there buying the records and be seen buying the cool, you know, T-shirts. You know, you wanted to impress everybody. But yeah, like I said, this was a much wanted thing. I'm gonna get all the Maiden. Well, I won't get all the Maiden albums. I don't, even though they had really cool covers and there's some good songs, and I don't have anything against the lead singer, but I don't really like the first two Iron Maiden albums that much. I know it's sacrilege to any true Maiden fan, but it just didn't appeal to me as a kid. I mean, I ended up listening to Killers after this, and I was like, I don't know if I like it. Now, I did like Number of the Beast, and I still like Number of the Beast, and I'll probably get it. I'm just not going to get it first. I'm going to get my favorite Maiden albums first. I'll get all the reissues. But Peace of Mind, next up on the agenda is Power Slave, and I'll probably do a video on that. And then Somewhere in Time, and then Seventh Son. Well, probably after Power Slave, I'll get Live After Death, the live album, and then I'll get Somewhere in Time and Seventh Son of the Seventh Son. I didn't really, when Fear of the Dark came out in high school, I don't know, I just didn't like it that much. That was okay. I didn't hate it. I just was like, it's alright. It had a cool cover. I think I had a Fear of the Dark t-shirt, but, you know, I wasn't really, you know, huge into that, that album. You know, of course, you know, a big thing was getting the, you know, the t-shirts to these, and I actually didn't have a lot of Maiden t-shirts. I had two. I had a Number of the Beast one, and I want to say, even though I didn't like the album, I think I had Killers, just because I had that in 6th grade. I remember that. I used to wear it at school out in 6th grade. But I never had the t-shirt to this, you know. And what do you call it? I had a jean jacket, and I had bought the back patch, and I had it, and this was 6th grade, maybe into 7th grade. I had my jean jacket, a blue jean jacket, sorry, jean vest. My sister had a jean jacket that she gave me. It was just, I think it was a men's jean jacket too. It was a, you know, Levi jacket. She gave it to me. I've never put a back patch on it, but then I ended up getting a jean vest, a blue one. I think like J.C. Penney or something. It wasn't super, or it might have been like a Lee or a Wrangler jacket. I got it for cheap, and then I ended up getting the Peace of Mind back patch, and I put it on it, and I wore it for like, I don't know, like I said, like 6th grade into 7th grade, and then it just disappeared. And I don't know if somebody stole, one of my friends stole it, or where it went, because I remember I ended up getting another jean jacket back when I was in high school, jean vest, and I started pinning. That was the cool thing. That was the pin stuff on the back. So I pinned like t-shirts that have ripped, and you pin the t-shirt to the back, and then I made a cool, well, I thought it was cool, this like Bloody Shades of Evil thing with like blood paint, or like, you know, puffy paint that looked like blood. And then my friend used to always make fun of me. He used to call it the Bloody Shades of Menopause. But he thought it was, this is the same guy used to make fun of me for trying to do my Wolverine haircut and my Guard Gardner haircut. So like I said, I went through a lot of weird changes in those days. Yeah, like I said, I wanted that jacket back, so that's why I'm going to turn this one into essentially that jacket. So, alright, so I'm going to, maybe I won't open it up on, yeah, I should, shouldn't I? Should I do it? Should I open it? Alright, let's open it. Just make some room here. Knock over everything, shake the camera, that kind of thing. Oops. I just want to let everybody to know, a lot of people leave the cellophane on these records when they, you know, they put them in their sleeves and stuff. I'm not going to do that. I don't like that look. It might be sacrilege to an audiophile, but I don't like the cellophane, the cut open cellophane look. You know, if I buy even a classic disc that somebody's left the cellophane on for 30, 40 years, I'm still going to pull it off, and I'm going to put it in the, you know, I'll put it in a sleeve, of course, protective sleeve, but I'm not going to leave the cellophane on. So again, same thing with the cellophane, it's going bye-bye. Sorry, I just like to smell everything. So here, let's open it up. It's pretty slick. So inside they've got, which if the lyrics are on the sheet, that tells me that it doesn't have an inner sleeve. Kind of like 2112 or albums like that. But you got the band here and their pretentious heavy metal band photo there, which I guess is not too crazy, seeing that I do some pretentious things myself. And there's the lyrics. So, and then there's the back cover. Of course, you could have seen the back cover with the cellophane on. There's the back color, cut cover. Oh, we do get something. It's all black, maybe. Oh, we get that's cool. We get a paper sleeve, but it's a black paper sleeve, which is kind of neat looking. So let's just check out the disc real quick. Again, these are they don't yell at me for not holding this right, but it's a perfectly clean disc. Yeah, these are the 180 gram discs, so you can tell the weight when you feel them. I mean, they're just totally noticeable. And again, the whole point on that was to prevent warping, which probably does work. We'll find out over time. But pretty sweet. I finally got it. So I just want to put it in there gingerly. I'm going to end up, I'll tell you, I'm going to show you something here too towards the end of the video. What I'm going to start doing with my albums. I kind of got a trick online that well, it's not really a trick, but something online I saw that I never thought of. But so there it is, Peace of Mind. Like I said, I'm not going to do a review on this album because there's no need. It's just awesome. There's no review. The review is it's awesome. The review is just buy it, listen to it. If you like this kind of music, it should be a staple in your collection. You should own it. So my review is, it's awesome. Kicks ass, whatever I want to use, some 80s cool term, you know. So yeah, so anyways, there's that. The other thing I got, I'm sorry I'm going Tron crazy. People are probably watching my videos going, God, enough of this Tron. He keeps talking about Tron. But sorry. Remember when I was talking about the story, you know, I had the story of Return of the Jedi? And I talked in my one Tron video about trying, you know, first I talked about trying to find the soundtrack, found the soundtrack, unopened copy. You know, a second one was, you know, can I find a the Story of Tron album, right? I tell you, Discogs, got to go to Discogs. It's the way to go. If I remember, I'll put the link in the description for Discogs, but it's pretty easy. Just DISCOGS, I think, discogs.com. Awesome. You can build your profile, you can build your wish list, your want list, everything, and you can just, you know, buy and sell, trade, buy albums on there. And I haven't sold or traded anything, but I'm definitely buying. And I found this, and I got this with shipping for less than 20 bucks. I was like 17, I think. And this is an unopened, and I'm going to open it. This is an unopened, sealed copy from the year 1982. It's from the year. This isn't a reprint or a reissue. This is the original album from 1982, unopened. It's never seen the light of day. And it's cool. I took them off, but they had these little corner pieces that I saved because I'll probably use them for something. But they have these little corner pieces that they had on it. I don't know how long they've been on it because they did leave a little. It's weird. They're supposed to keep the corners from getting damaged, and which they're not damaged. I mean, there's a little bend to that one, a little bit bend to that one, but now it's made little indents on the other side. So maybe they aren't the best things to use. I guess but you know, if this thing sat on a shelf for all these years, still in cellophane, you know, you're gonna get a little bit of, you know, surprised there's not more. But this is like perfect. It was considered. It said mint, and it said the jacket was in very good plus. So meaning that they're probably just accounting for the little bit of wear on the corners. But I said it's the story of, and the thing is, it's narrated by the same guy that narrates the story of Return of the Jedi. It's the same narration guy. I'm not gonna. I found there's a digital. You can see it if you want to listen to it. Go on YouTube and just look it up. The Story of Tron. There's a recording of it. I'm not going to play it like I did the Star Wars one. But yeah, just go on and listen to it if you want to check it out. Like I said, I wanted to have it on LP. Now I don't think it's the back of it. We won't know until we open it up. It doesn't feel like it. It doesn't say anything about it. But I don't think this comes with the souvenir booklet like the Jedi one does. I think this is just the record. I mean, it might have a sleeve, might not. But hopefully it has a sleeve with some artwork on it. I mean, because, you know, I said, anytime you get to see any of that cool scene, I call it artwork, you know, even though it's scenes from the movies, it's just, you know, screenshots from the movie. To me, they're artwork. I mean, it's pure art to me. Especially when they're in the computer world. Excuse me. With actual dialogue, music, and sound effects into the film, so it's just like the other one. So let's do the deed. Let's open her up. Give me a second to be a little extra gingerly with it. I do not want to wreck this one. Not that I wanted to wreck the what do you call it? The Iron Maiden one, but at least with the reissue, I can get the same thing again, even though I just have to pay for it. But with this one, finding one in this condition is probably going to be difficult. Is it? You know, there's the spine. It's just so packed in there, so tight. It still leads me to believe there's no booklet in here because it just seems very tight, and you can barely get into the opening. And I'm not trying to get into the opening. I'm just trying to score the plastic out a little bit, the cellophane, just enough to get into. There we go. Go from this corner. It's a little easier. I'm sure there's a more anal retentive way of doing this, but trying to get this done. Oh, man, you can just hear it. It's just like the Jedi one. You could feel it. Sounds like old cellophane being torn. And there it goes. Again, people are probably like, "Oh my God, he's opening it! You've totally set apart broken the seventh seal and started the Age of Apocalypse." But no, No, I just opened an old record. You know. Sue me. Is it a law? Is there a law against it? Press charges if there is. I'm sure there's not. Yep, so it's just a paper sleeve. I figured I'd have the Disneyland logo on it. So I just gotta smell it. Even though it's factory sealed, it smells like a record store. Doesn't smell like 1983. Wish it did. Have a little bit of 1983 just to breathe once. Just checking the disc. I'm sure it's perfect. I'm going to get rid of these I'm not going to throw them out, but I'm just going to get rid of these paper sleeves, pull them out, and I'll show you why. I guess the paper sleeves, even though it's been in here forever in this paper sleeve, you can see just pulling it out, the dust just went whoosh, right to it because of the static electricity. And they said that the paper sleeves are terrible for that. And so I'll show you, I picked up some anti-static inner sleeves that have plastic on them with rice paper. And that's supposed to, you know, keep them from doing that. There's also a way when you bag them, you kind of eliminate. So in order, I mean, this you can even see it. It has a hair of it was probably stacked like this wrong at some point, but it has a hair of ring line, not discoloration, but more just like an indent of ring. Going to put it back in for now, but it's going to come out quickly here. And you store them in the inner sleeves, the special inner sleeves, and you store them behind the album. And then if it does have an inner sleeve, you put the inner sleeve behind the album, and then you put the disc on the inner sleeve, and then you put it in an outer sleeve. I know it seems super anal, like very comic book, archival stuff, but that's just how you protect these records, and you really want to take care of them. And I don't mind that. I mean, I like that kind of stuff. It's fun. I like having all the extra goof silliness to put on there. But there it is, the story of Tron. So I'm not going to go into. I think I've talked Tron to death without really talking about Tron. But I never had this. I didn't even know it existed. I just looked up story of Tron because of the story of Jedi, which I did have, just to see if it existed, and it exists. So now I've got the story of Tron, I've got the storybook, I've got the novelization, I've got the soundtrack, and I've got the movie on DVD. I guess there's no point in getting it in VHS. I'm not going to go that hardcore vintage, but Laserdisc. I saw a couple of Laserdiscs for sale, some Pioneer Laserdiscs, and I really was thinking about it. I was thinking about putting a 40-inch television set above my one bookcase here, so I can watch it in my room, my bed, and watch and get a Pioneer Laserdisc player and start finding Laserdiscs. But I may not. But those are the two albums. So let me just show you here. I've pulled out the Tron soundtrack again, and I'm going to show you why. This is the brand I went with. I don't know. It just said Amazon recommended as their best sellers. They kept coming up, so I got these Invest in Vinyl sleeves, and they're, let me just slide something over, use my cutting mat here. I'm going to just slice the top of this open to get to them, but yeah, these are supposed to be pretty decent. Like I said, the video I'm watching, the guy suggested a different brand. I don't know how much better one brand is from the next. Like I said, this one just kept coming up. These are also less expensive, so I was just kind of trying to be a little frugal about it too. So let's take out sheet. Oops. Cut that perfectly. There we go. So yeah, you can feel it's very thin plastic. It does say Invest in Vinyl. It does have that, so it shows where the arrow is pointing to where the disc goes in. It's got that sheet of rice paper in it. Now I believe, yeah, okay, it does have a lip. Now you just stick it in, I guess. That's kind of odd. See, I thought but you slip it in and then it has a lip, but maybe I'm not doing this right. But well, I'm gonna do the my what do you call it? My Tron. Okay, I'm probably gonna. These outer sleeves are really cheap. I'm gonna get it. So what I do is I put the record behind it, as you see, and that one came with that all black one here. So I'm just gonna keep that on there for now, and then I'm gonna slip the album into this so it's protected, so it's not just sitting in there. Now, like I said, what's the point of having the paper if it's covered with plastic on the inside? Maybe that's what causes the anti-static. You can put the album in it, it just clings right to it. So, again, this is not a no, sorry, this is a reissue. No, I'm thinking of the other one. This is a reissue of the original. This is not an original, and then it should fit. I'll put it record side out so I can see the record. Because like I said, I like to see a lot of the stuff. If you really want to look at the album sleeves and all that stuff, oh, this kind of gets hard to get in here. You want to see the album sleeves and look at all the pieces. You can always pull them out. But for now, it's protected. That, like I said, again, I'm gonna get the outer sleeves. I'm gonna get are supposed to be better than these inner sleeves. So you can put the record back there, and then if you want to listen to the record, you just pull that sleeve out with the record that way, and and it looks like it clings pretty well. You're supposed to turn it to the side so that the dust doesn't get in it from the top, but I guess I could do that because you're going to pull it out well, the thing is, you really don't have to pull it out if you've got the opening at the top. If you don't want to keep pulling it out and everything, but I think the whole purpose. That's why I thought it had a top that would fold over, but I guess not. So that way, now the red disc is totally protected, and dust won't get on it because it's on the side there. So that's how you do that. I'll go back and do all of my discs. I got a chance here, and then of course I'm storing them in there. So now they got a better spot. Like I said, they're everywhere until I had a spot for them, but now that I've got a spot, they're going to go over there until that's filled up. And then once that's filled up, I've got a space on my shelf, but it's not really the best either. So I'll probably have to get a second something else to put them in. I plan on not buying 90,000 records. I mean, I don't want to have a huge record collection. Sure, it'd be fun, but there's only so many records I really want. If I find stuff that's just, like a Madonna album, or if I find, again, like I said, the Pearl Jam Nevermind, if I find the stuff cheap, or find a good copy of it, I'll probably pick it up. But there's still, like I said, there's a finite amount of albums. And again, talking about, like bands like Iron Maiden, I'm not going to buy every album. I probably won't buy every Blue Oyster Cult album. I won't buy every Rush album because, well, like I said, I'll get into with Rush, but after Presto, I didn't really like any of the albums. I didn't really like. I mean, I thought Roll Bones was okay when it first came out because I was just excited to get a new Rush album. But I didn't like Counterparts very well. I didn't like Test for Echo. I never heard enough of Vapor Trails. I thought it sounded cool and I didn't hear it. And there was a live Rock in Rio concert. I think they were promoting Vapor Trails, but I didn't get to see it enough of it. And then just check the time. All right, what have we at? Okay, we're doing good on time. We're going, or what was I saying? Yeah, so Rush. I'm not going to get every album. Bands like Journey. I don't really want every Journey album. I don't want, if I find stuff and it just happens into my collection, I'll take it. But I'm not going to seek it out. I've got a couple of want lists. One on Amazon, which is primarily for the reissues, and then one for vintage on Discogs. And I'm looking for specific albums. I'm thinking about getting into the singles a little bit, and I'm going to explain why here in a minute. Let me just jump into that. I'm going to talk about some books at the end real quick, but for now, let's just get into this. So let me put my Wacom back over here so I can get to it. And then let me go to my folder. So we've got these here. Now, if you don't know what these are, I was obsessed with these. Specifically, the summer of '87, which was out of 8th grade. We had a carnival, those carnival fairs that would come around and go in the parking lots. We had one at the parking lot at the Kmart up at the Winchester Mall in Rochester Hills at the top of the hill. This is when I lived in the trailer park, so I could just ride my bike up the up to Kmart there. And they had a carnival that year, and I went to it. Seems like I rode my bike up there every day that they had it. I think it lasted for like, I want to say it was there a week, because I remember I went up there a few times during the day on weekdays when there was barely anybody there. The carnies and stuff were walking around, just so I could just walk around and kind of, I could talk to people, and I could, and that's when I wasn't really, I could focus. The whole point going there on a Friday or Saturday night was for the scene, cruising around looking at all the ladies, and trying to be cool. But during the day, it was more of business. I'm just going up there for business. As I was, just turned 14. But one thing that I was obsessed with, I had seen these before, because I remember I had a Harley Davidson one, I think, that I won at a carnival prior to that, like from 5th or 6th grade. I don't know if it was at that one. Might have been at I think one, actually it was at a Dixieland not State Fair. It wasn't at the State Fair in Detroit on Woodward. This was, I can't remember what this one was I'm thinking of, but I remember they had a demolition derby and a rodeo next to it, and then they had the carnival, and I won a Harley Davidson mirror at that. So, and that's what these are. They're mirrors, which is weird. I don't know what the fascination was with mirrors back in the day, but they're mirrors that you can't see yourself in. So essentially it's just glass. And they were glass, they called them, prize mirrors. And they came in these little paper sleeves. These ones are all torn up here, but they came in these little paper sleeves that you would, the whole point was to frame them. And they were, I think they were 6 inches by 6 inches, or I don't think they were 7 inches, like a single, like a record single, 7-inch, like the paper sleeve. I think it was 6 inches, I believe. But it was supposed to be along that lines. And that's the thing, is they did have albums on them. I think they had a couple of big ones, like 12 inches at one time, but they had these little things, and most of them were, if they were band related, they were most of the time the singles. Now obviously the Twisted Sister one there is supposed to be the part of the Stay Hungry cover, the Poison one. I'm not sure about the AC/DC one. That just looks like a picture of Angus just doing his walk there. I don't know if that's from an album cover. I like AC/DC. I'm not super into them. I'll probably get Back in Black most likely, and maybe Razor's Edge, and that's about it. But if you really wanted I can't remember her name is. I think she's a Playboy Playmate. I really liked her at the time. She looked like a girl I went to high school with. But, you get a girl in a red thong in front of a white Lamborghini Countach. I mean, that's, to a teenage boy in the 80s, that right there is heaven, A Playboy Playmate. I don't even think she was Playboy. I think she's like a Penthouse Playmate. The Penthouse Playmate. If you know her name, let me know. I want to say her name was Rachel Darren, which I believe also she was a porn star. I think that was her name, Rachel Darren. But if I'm wrong and you know who that is, correct me. I think it's Rachel Darren, the porn star, who also was like a Fredericks of Hollywood model and a Penthouse model. And she may have been in Playboy at one time, but that was more reserved for the upscale girls that didn't do porn. Except for that one girl, I can't remember what her name was. But I think a bunch of them have done it at some point. But anyways, you want to talk about cars from the 80s. One of the cars from the 80s that I loved, it was my dream car, was that one. The white Lamborghini Countach. Yes, the one that was in Wolf of Wall Street. I love that scene where he gets his pant leg caught in the door. But anyways, that was the car that I wanted. And I didn't, obviously Wolf of Wall Street wasn't out back then, but the reason I wanted it, and it wasn't just because of posters and stuff like this, was it showed up in an episode of Miami Vice, and Phil Collins was driving it, when Phil Collins played like this cocaine villain guy. And the beginning of the episode, this white Lamborghini Countach is just ripping through Miami, and, you know, Crockett and Tubbs have to go after him and take him down, and, you know, out pops, you know, a trench-coated Phil Collins from the car. But that was the episode. That was what made me fall in love with the white Countach. I mean, obviously the red one's cool. That's like the quintessential. Black one with gold rims is also pretty sweet. And also, you know, like the yellow one from like the Pirelli. Actually, it was either from the Pirelli ad in the magazines, or it was from the Alpine Stereo. And I think the Alpine Stereo ad was a white Countach. And so I probably saw it there as well. But again, I could do a whole episode on me and the Countach. The Countach, as my friend calls it. He thinks it sounds like a dirty word. It does sound like the Countach. It does sound like a dirty word. But yeah, that white Lamborghini Countach, I think that's an 85. It's an 85 or an 84. I believe it's an 85 Countach right there. You know, and you got Rachel Darren in a red thong, you know, showing off her backside there. That's pretty sweet. Like I said, you couldn't get me. The only thing better would be that is to have her, you know, bending over the hood or something, doing the old, you know, what's her face, Tawny Katane from Whitesnake video. But no, that was. Sorry, I got on a tangent there. Back to the music. Let's keep my mind above the gutter. So, not that, you know, talking about Countaches is below the gutter. But anyways, the thing that I saw, and you can see it right there, is one thing that my eyes zeroed right in, because I didn't know what it was. And I had Stranger in a Strange Land, Somewhere in Time, the album, and I had it on cassette. Because again, I didn't have the album to. I don't think I didn't have any of the Iron Maiden albums on record. I had them on cassette, and I came across this, and I was like, "What in the hell is this?" Because I didn't see the single. You know, I know they had singles. I didn't really go through the records, but that's the single for "Stranger in a Strange Land." That's this little paper sleeve that came with the 7-inch single, and they had a mirror, or that glass, whatever they call that thing. That thing at the carnival summer of '87, and I wanted it. I wanted it. I mean, I wanted it. And this is the thing that pissed me off, and this is why I still seek it out today. Although I'm not, it's on eBay. There's a bunch of them on eBay, and they want like hundreds of dollars for them. I'm not paying that kind of money. You know, if I found it for like $25, I'd buy it. But I wanted that specific one. That's why I said I went back up on, you know, on Business Time. You know, Business Time was going looking for that. It wasn't looking for girls or trying to act cool. It was going for specifically for one thing, and that's what it was. You know, I was serious about my stuff, you know, Monday through Friday during the day, but not school. But anyways, I went back up there, and I had a bunch of money with me. I was going to play this. I think it was a balloon game. You had to hit the balloon and score. If you hit the balloon, you score. You got the first prize, and I don't believe this was the first prize. If you had to trade it back in, hit the balloon again, and score, and then you got to pick one of these mirrors. So it cost you about, I think it was like $1 to play. It was 50 cents back then. It cost you a couple of bucks to finally score one of these. But I went back up there ready to play this at the specific game, and it's nowhere to be seen. And I asked, it was a woman working, and I said, "So what happened to the Iron Maiden Somewhere in Some, you know, Stranger in a Strange Land?" She's like, "What?" I'm like, "The mirror. What happened to the mirror with the Iron Maiden mirror?" She goes, "We've got Iron Maiden mirror," and they had one I did not want. It was just really retarded looking. And she's like, "Well, we have." I said, "No. Specifically, I want this is why, you know, we go around plebeians, they never understand. Even plebeians that have their own stuff, they don't even know what they had. But I was like, no, specifically, I want the Somewhere, in the one where he's standing there in a jacket, you know, lighting his cigarette in the bar." And she's like, "Well, we sold a lot. A lot of people took them, so we don't have many left. You could try some of the other games." So I went around looking. None of the other ones had any Iron Maiden ones, let alone had... They might have had a Countach and Rachel Darren, if that's her name. And they might have had one of those, but they, which, you know, would be a nice consolation prize. But they did not have that specific one, and I wanted that one. I mean, like I said, that... I was like, I want that mirror. And, again, never got it. You know, I think I played just... I think I did come home with one of them. I might even came home with two of them, but they weren't the ones that I wanted. I think I don't even think I got a Girl in a Car one. I think I got... what did I get? No, I did get it. I got one of those Iron Maiden ones. Ones I didn't really want. I think it was Live After Death, and I don't know if I got a picture of it here, but it was the Live After Death one where the background, it was just the figure and like the foreground image of him in the flames, and the back was an actual mirror. And I just didn't like that. You know, that's what it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be a mirror. I didn't want that. I wanted the full thing here. So let me there we go. So here's just a bunch more, just so you guys know what I'm talking about. So there's ones where they just had like an image and then it was on an actual mirror. Didn't want the Billy Idol in his crazy underwear. This one right here. This is the one I... No, it wasn't. That's Number of the Beast. It was just like this Number of the Beast one. You can see that in the corner. Oh, I would have taken the Screaming for Vengeance if they had it, but it was just like this Number of the Beast, except for it was Live After Death. But oh, they had an REO Speedway. Yeah, of course. They had a lot of the Night Ranger and a lot of these. They have a Rush one, and they probably had a lot of these there. I was just fixated on that specific one. I wanted it. There's just some more as a Rat ones. Pyromania. It looks like, yeah, some of these. So people there's a Kiss one that they've framed. These I think was the other style. There's a Last in Line Dio. It's got the cool. Sorry, it's got the other type of sleeve they had on there, and this looks like it's at a record store or something. Maybe it's somebody's personal collection. But they did have a Somewhere in Time one, and what was the other? I want to say the other one I got was just Somewhere in Time. I know they had a 12-inch. This, you know, I haven't found a picture of it, but they did have a 12-inch one, or well, I don't know if it was 12 inches, but it was definitely bigger. And they had a Somewhere in Time one. I didn't get that one. I think maybe the other one I had was the Somewhere in Time one. I think I came home with two of them. So that part I'm a little fuzzy on. I would have taken, obviously, Power Slave. I think Power Slave is probably my second. It's funny, they go in order. My first favorite's Peace of Mind, then Power Slave, and then Somewhere in Somewhere in Time, and then Seven Son of the Seventh Son. I think my favorite albums go in the order that they came out. I don't know if that's just coincidence or it's just, you know, as they came out, I started to be big on them. So, like I said, I'm just trying to see if there's any other ones. There's a little bit better picture of it. Of course, it's got a thing going across it. I did look on Discogs. They do have the single, and they have one in mint condition with the sleeve, and I'll probably pick it up. That's what I was saying. I might get into getting some of the singles. And if they do, but it's like $20. Like, it's the price of a full album just to get the single, because they're rare. They're hard to find. And again, I'm not into this for collect. I'm not a crazy collector who's got to have specific. Well, I guess I have to have specific things, but it's not specific things that a collector would look for. Like, I don't have to have the, you know, blah, 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 whatever version or whatever. You know, just like comic books. You don't have to have the first printing of Ninja Turtles #1. It's just, I want a copy of it, and I want it to, A, work. I want it to, B, not be all effed up and in terrible condition. And that's pretty much my, and it's got to be the one that I want, you know. I'll say that's my only criteria. Whether or not it's the second printing or second pressing or, you know, Paul McCartney, you know, used it to wipe his asshole. I don't care. I just want it in good condition. It works, and I want what I want. So that's what I'm looking for. So there's a few of them, and I looked up. I should have found the image. There's an image I found. I didn't save it, but it has all the singles that were available in general, of Iron Maiden, and there's a bunch of them. There's a Run to the Hills. There's the Aces High one would be cool to get. I remember they had an Aces High poster down at Full Moon Video or Full Moon Records downtown Rochester when I was a kid. And I wanted that Aces High poster, but they have an Aces High single. I think they have Aces High and 2 Minutes to Midnight, I think, are the two singles off Power Slave. They've got this one, and I want to say they have Wasted Years as the other single. And I think this was like a computer terminal. And then they have, off Peace of Mind, I think they have The Trooper, obviously, and I don't know what the other one is. I want to say it's, it's Flight of the Icarus. Because that was the hit single that was on MTV. I mean, The Trooper was on MTV eventually too, but the first one I saw was Flight of the Icarus, and then I saw The Trooper. And I believe that's how it came out. I'm not 100% sure, but I think that the first single off of it was Flight of the Icarus, and then Trooper, but correct me if I'm wrong. You know, it's hard to remember every detail, although I can remember most of the details. But, yeah, so I'd like to have the mirror. I don't have to have it. But I would like to have the single. And the single's attainable. It's just it's a little pricey. I guess if I was to say I'd pay $20 for a mirror, $25 for the mirror, I guess I could pay $20 for the single. It'd be nice if somebody sold like a whole lot of them, you know, for like $50 or something like that. Or, you know, even, I don't know how many there were total. So let's just say hypothetically there were a dozen, 12, and they sold them for like $100. That would be nice. I'd buy them. But yeah. So, last but not least, I'm going to go back to the camera here. I'm just going to talk about this, just because I think it's kind of worth mentioning. Because I have some stories involved with it. But here are my, I love those red pages. This is my collection of, I guess I should go to number 1 so you know what I'm talking about. These are Roger Zelazny's. This is the Nine Princes of Amber, which these are the Amber Chronicles, or Amber series. I think they're called Amber Chronicles. Again, I'm not going to get into the book, and I'm not going to, do a review personally of it. I guess I could do a review of the first one. I started this one about a year ago. Maybe over a year ago, more than a year ago, I started reading the first one, and I got pretty far into it, and it was a slog. I don't know. I was expecting fantasy, and I obviously I love Michael Moorcock, and I love the Stormbringer series with Elric, and that has kind of like this very English punk rock kind of, vibe to it. So does like the Cornelius Chronicles, things like that. But Zelazny is how you pronounce his last name. I call it Zelazny all the time. Zelazny, Roger Zelazny. His stuff is like really, really douchey. I mean, like all the characters are just like these like unlikable douchebags. They're all like rich. I mean, it's because they're princes and queens and kings and stuff, princesses. But they're like these rich, just like kind of druggy douchebags that are just kind of like, I don't know, it's not likable. And I feel like they're just extensions of the writer. Like he's this, druggy, hippie, bohemian, douchebag who's stoned or on acid or something all the time. And it's kind of what this how the thing came across at first. And he breaks out of this, I said I won't go into the story, but he breaks out of this thing, he goes into this home, and there's this big fight and everything, and he's still in like the real world, and I can't remember what year he's supposed to be in, and then they end up going to the Corwin, the land or whatever, or sorry, Amber, and Corwin's the kingdom in Amber, so then it goes to Amber, what do you call it, Amber, and then, blah, 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 there's stuff happens, but it was the first chapter read fine. The second chapter was just like, oh my god. And he has really long chapters, like 45, 50-page long chapters. I think chapter 2 was like, I don't want to waste time looking for it, but I think chapter 2 ran like, literally like, here we go. Chapter 2 starts on... Take it back, sorry. Oh, no, it's only over there. Maybe it was Chapter 3. But Chapter 2 goes from page 13 to 24. That's not terribly long. 3 was 25 to 38. One of the chapters, I can't remember which one it was like a solid 50 pages. And I was just like, oh my god, just kept going on and on and on. It's like, And I couldn't, even if I wanted to do a review, I'd have to go back and reread that because I can't remember even what happened. It was like a big acid trip. I think it was actually as they're like kind of morphing, going into the other world, and I mean that stuff's cool and all. It's very 70s. Although I think this is from the 70s. There's copyright on this. 1970 for the first book. This is the first. These are the Avon printings. This one's 72. The reason I also bring these up is I just finished this the other night. Just to finish it. I finally finished it. I could barely remember what happened in the beginning of it. And I figured, I'm just going to keep going. And then I started, last night, I started book 2, which is the Guns of Avalon. But the thing, and this one specifically is one I want to show you. So, when I was a kid, and this would have been 82, 83, right about there, I went to Rochester Book Center, right next to Kittyland in Rochester, there across from the high school. And, I would peruse the science fiction shelf, just like I do at the library. And I came across, it was hard to miss, I came across this particular copy. And it was like, I love the black, like I said, I'm going to get into the visual stuff about books that, diehard readers of books probably either care about or don't care about. But this is what, because I'm a visual person and I'm all about art. I mean, I guess I'm auditory because I like music too as well, but, I'm not super into reading. Again, I couldn't read very well for the longest time, and I still don't read I don't read quick. I read okay. I can comprehend now, now that I'm 50 years old, I can actually read a book and not know what's going on, but I don't read fast. I mean, I read very slow. Very slow. I mean, obviously, well, this is going a little above and beyond. It doesn't take me 2 years to read a book that's like 200 pages, but it's because I stopped reading it. I just got bored with it. And then I had to make myself finish it. Which is, why do I like these books then? If I hated the first book, and I hate it, but I mean, if it was, but it's because of just what went on in my mind, like I got this, and I loved this all-black book. I loved the red pages on the side, and I loved the font, this like very impacty, big, open white on that black background, and then this little, almost looks like cards, like trading cards. That's what I thought they were. I thought this was Dungeons and Dragons related when I first saw it. And you got this, guy here in this, he's got like a gun, but he's also got a like knight's armor, and there's a unicorn, and you've got like castles and stuff in the background. And it looked, you can see it looks very, very Dungeons and Dragons, very fantasy-esque. And then, and then they kind of repeat that on the back, and that book was laying, it was on like a little thing again. It must have been, well, it was 283. I think this one in particular is 76. So, yeah. Okay, I'm take it back. Okay, this is the first. This is not a first printing. So the first printing was in 1976 of Avon printing. This in particular is the 6th printing. It doesn't give the actual date of this printing, although it should. Usually does. So, let's just say hypothetically they printed one every year. I know this is not how books work, but let's just say hypothetically it did. 6 years later it would have been 82. So let's just say it was 1982, although I think it was 83 when I found this. But I remember it was sitting, again, that was, they had these like rack of these books and sitting there on the shelf, and my eyes went right to the wording. And I was like, oh, I like this book. I want it a lot. $1.95. Dad, can I get a book? He'll buy me any book. If I want to read a book, was trying to encourage me to read all the time. He'd buy me any book. So he bought me this book. And again, I didn't know that it was whatever, because it didn't have like numbers on it. I didn't know what series of books. I didn't really realize that was a thing back then. But it was, I think, book 3? I think it's book 3. I think it's after Guns of Avalon. Then it goes to the Courts of Chaos. And then the Hand of Oberon. But I'm gonna say that all of them were there, because this Hand of Oberon, like I said, I know they had more than one, but this was just the one I picked up, just because, and it was just because of the cover. And I never read it. I had it for a very long time. It sat on my bookshelf, and I would pull it down off my bookshelf, and I would just look at it. And I'd look at the little teeny little pictures. I mean, this was before the internet. Like I said, this is when stuff was kind of hard to come by. Visual stuff was hard to come by. And I would just look at it, and I would think of all these things happening in my head without reading the book, you know. And I think I'd go to school, and they, you know, we'd have creative writing time, and I would go, oh, and I would totally start writing all of, you know, on that great crazy paper they gave us in elementary school, and I would write. I think we used notebook paper by then, but I would write stories for creative writing time. Was basically just all of what I thought just by looking at the cover of a book. You know, the adventure, the story was in my head, and I write that down, and it'd be goofy, and it'd not make a lot of sense, and it would be like it'd be a hodgepodge of like 5 or 6 different things that I either saw, heard at the time. I've got the 5th grade book around here somewhere. My son's got it, or he had it. The one I did of the Dungeons and Dragons book, and I named all of the different characters. I called one Flynn and Zark because. You know, with Tron, even though Tron wasn't fantasy, it was more science fiction, I just liked the names. I had Flynn, Zark, and Tome was the other character, because I didn't know what a tome was, meaning a book. I just saw it on something Dungeons & Dragons, it's a tome, and I thought that was a name, so I called this character Tome. Still kind of a cool name. Sounds a lot like Zark, or Flynn, but anyways. So yeah. So, I would do that as a kid. So, like I said, I've got these books, and like I said, I'm not a huge fan of them. Although people who love Amber, they love the Amber. They go on and on and on about how great Amber is. I know there's been role-playing games, and I think I even played a role-playing game based on it at a comic book convention by Eric Wujciak, or whatever the name of the guy was. The guy who wrote the Ninja Turtles, a role-playing game for Palladium. He also wrote a role-playing game of his own based on, it's called The Chronicles of Amber, or it's just called Amber, and it was about the whole world of Amber. And I know it didn't use dice. It was like this real weird way of running the game, and I think I play-tested with him at NovaCon at Oakland University once when that came out. So I was aware of it, and I was aware of its popularity. I didn't know what it was back then. I just thought it was cool, you know. So this was more like a nostalgia / curiosity, just reading these books, and so far I'm not overly impressed. Like I said, I only got through the first book, and wherever it is, and I barely got through the first book, and it took me a long time to go back and finish it. I'm just now starting the second book, and it's okay, nothing's really happening. He comes across this knight who's wounded, and apparently he doesn't want him to know who he is, and whatnot. He kind of nurses him back. He's got in this big fight with these guys and stuff, yada yada yada. And now they're going to go on like a journey to somewhere. I think they're going to go try to find his people or something. I don't know exactly where it's going, but yeah. So, oh god, I've went an hour. That's probably my longest video. Alright, let's stop it there. Again, the whole main reason I wanted to kind of make the video was that, and that new acquisition. So they're gonna get a listening to, a cleaning, they're gonna get sleeved, put in the section, blah blah blah. Instead of for that, I'm gonna do my Pyromania and give that one the business, to give it the works. Put these back on my bookshelf, but I'll leave this one out. Obviously, I'm gonna read it, or try to. Maybe I'll get 2 chapters in, and then it'll sit there for 2 years until I finish reading it. I'll never get through the whole series. I really want to read my Elric again. I'm trying to find the Elric books again. Again, of course, I don't have them. Now I got to reacquire them, and they're going to be a lot of money, blah, 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 blah. I want specifically the DAW versions of them, but yeah. So, let's end the video, because it's been an hour. I don't want to go on babble on forever, which I normally do, and this is it. So, let's just end by saying subscribe. If you love listening to somebody babble on about stuff you probably don't care about, listen to her. Subscribe, but otherwise, I will catch you on tomorrow's video. Alright, bye-bye.